Math!
Okay, lesson 6. We're moving to percents, percent increase, and percent decrease. So 6.1, it gives us 3 different sports teams and their scores from their last 2 games. So we have the football team, the basketball team, and the baseball team. So this is how many, this is what their total points were, or runs for baseball, in their previous 2 games. So what is something that you notice about the team's scores? And what is something that you wonder? Which team improved the most? And explain your reasoning for that. Okay, 6.2. A cereal box says that it now contains 20% more. Originally, it came with 18.5 ounces of cereal. So how much cereal does the box come with now? So take a minute to try to work this out and then enter your answer. Okay, so there's a few different ways we can work this. You can use a tape diagram where you do the double tape. You can do double number line. You can use proportion to solve percent. So we know that it says it contains 20%, and the key word here is more. 20% more. Okay, and it originally came with 18.5 ounces. So one way to do that would be a double number line. So if I put my ounces up here and my percents down here, so I know that 100% is how many ounces? 18.5. Okay, but I need to know what 120% would be. Because if it's 20% more, well, I know there's at least 18.5 ounces in there, which is 100%, plus another 20%. So we're looking for 120%. So first we need to know what 20% would be. I like to work in 10%. So let's try to figure out what 10% would be. So 10% of 100%. So if you think about it, 10% is 1/10 of 100%. Therefore, we just need to figure out what 1/10 of 18.5 is. Okay, so you can multiply. So 1/10 times 18.5. Or you can use decimal form. So 1/10 we know is 0.1 times 18.5. Or you also can use a shortcut. So if I'm looking for a tenth of something, I know I can just move my decimal 1/10 place. So if it's 1/10 of it, I know it's got to be less, so I can move it 1 place, which is a tenth. So I know that 10% of 18.5 is 1.85. Okay, so if 10% is 1.85, what is 20%? 3.7 ounces. There's 20%. Okay, so if 20% of 18.5 ounces is 3.7 ounces, then how much total cereal does the box come with now? Okay, so we just add 18.5 plus 3.7, which gives us 22.2. So our cereal box now comes with 22.2 ounces. Number 2, It says the price of a shirt is $18.50, but you have a coupon that lowers the price by 20%. So what is the difference in this problem and the last problem? So we're still working with 20%, but now our 20% is lowering. So it's 20% less now, not 20% more. So we're trying to figure out what the price of the shirt is after using a 20% off coupon. So it's $18.50, which is related to the 18.5 up here. So it's a lot less work that we have to figure out, because we know that 20% of 18.5 is what? 20% of 18.5 we know is 3.7, but since we're working with money, it would be $3.70. So that 20% coupon is worth $3.70. So what would be the cost of the shirt now? So we know it was originally $18.50, and we're saving $3.70. So we are now paying $14.80. I want to go back to this real quick. I want to show you the proportion way as well. So let's erase this. So we know that percents are always out of 100. We know that our total price is $18.50. So if we're lowering the price by 20%, what percent are we actually paying? So 20% off means we're paying 80%. Good, so we want to try to figure out what 80% of $18.50 is. We can use the cross multiply method like I showed you before, or you can use, like, look for a constant proportionality. So one way to do it is I could do 100 divided by 1850, but that's going to give me a lot of numbers. That's going to give me 5.4054 and so on and so forth. So that might not be the best way to do it. So now we might want to try the cross multiply method. 80 times $18.50, and here's our unknown. $18.50 times 80, and I want to set that equal to 100 times x. Okay, so that leaves me with $18.50 times 80, which gives me 1,480. And we still have to keep it equal because it's like a balance. So 100 times x just simplifies to 100x. Okay, so this is the same thing as saying 100 times something gives me 1,480. So in order to figure out what that something is, I would just divide by 100. 100 divided by 100 gives me 1x. But I have to do it to the other side as well. So 1,480 divided by 100 gives me 14.80. So that means 80% of $18.50 is $14.80, which is what we determined with the other method as well. Okay, 6.3. So it wants us to match each situation to a diagram and be prepared to explain your reasoning. So you can work this out on your paper and then you'll enter the answer here. Situation A. Compared with last year's strawberry harvest, this year's strawberry harvest is a 25% increase. 25% increase on top of what it was last year. So last year, last year represents my 100%. And this year's 25% increase. So this year is actually what percentage? It would be a 125% total. So here's 100%. And then I have an extra 25%. So situation A matches diagram A. B, this year's blueberry harvest is 75% of last year's. Okay, so last year represents what percentage? Okay, that's my 100%. But this year says it's 75% of last year. So would that be more or less? It would be less, and it's what percent less? 25% less. So that means it's actually this year should only show 75%. So that would be diagram B. Because here we have last year was 100%, but I don't have quite as much as last year. I have 25% less. So that means this represents 75%. Okay? C, compared with last year, this year's peach harvest decreased by 25%. Which diagram does that match? Okay, that one's also B. And then on D, this year's plum harvest is 125% of last year's plum harvest. Okay, that one is A. Okay, it says on number 2, draw a diagram to represent these situations. So on A, the number of ducks living at a pond increased by 40%. So we know we have the original amount. We can just do last year and this year again. So last year, we had this set amount of ducks, which was my 100%. And this year, I know it increased by 40%. So I know I still have my 100%, but then I have an additional 40%, so a little less than half the size. So this represents what percentage, this little blue area? Okay, that represents 40%. Okay, to B, the number of mosquitoes decreased by 80%. So I have last year and this year. So last year is going to be my 100%. And now it said it decreased by 80%. So that means I actually have what percentage? Means I actually only have about 20% because it decreased by 80%. So that means I actually only have 20% compared to last year. Okay, 6.4. Do you agree or disagree with each statement and explain your reasoning? So number 1, employee A gets a 50% pay raise, and employee B gets a pay raise of 45%. So employee A gets the bigger pay raise. Agree or disagree? Why? So let's think about this. If we have employee A, so here is their 100%. And we know it's a 50% pay raise. So let's say employee A made $100. So employee A made $100 a day. And the employee A gets a pay raise of 50%. So how much money is employee A making now? We know the 100% is $100, and 50% of 100 is just half of that, which is 50. Okay, so employee A would now be making $150. Let's look at employee B. So let's say 100% here also represents $100. And he gets a pay raise of 45%. So it's a little less than halfway. So the 100% is $100. And then he's making how much more now? $45. So making $145. So in this situation, does employee A get the bigger pay raise? Yes. But what about employee B made $200 a week? So now the 100% is $200, but 45% of that would be $90. So now who gets the bigger pay raise? A, that's getting a $50 pay raise, or B, that's getting a $90 pay raise? Employee A may not get the bigger pay raise. Employee A would get the bigger pay raise if they were both making the same amount originally. But if they make different amounts, then it's not always going to be the same person that gets the bigger pay raise. Shirts are on sale for 20% off and you buy 2 of them. As you pay, the cashier says 20% off of one shirt means 40% off of the total price. So is that true? You should have said disagree. So let's look at this. Let's say the shirt cost $100. So if I get 20% off of each shirt, I'm making 20% off of $100. So 20% of 100 is $20. So for one shirt, I would pay $80. Okay? So for the second shirt, I have shirt number 2. It's also $100 and it's 20% off. So that's another $20 off. And I make $80. Or I pay $80 now. So total for these shirts, for 2 shirts, I would pay $160 for 2 shirts. Originally, they would have costed how much? 100 plus 100, so originally they would be $200. So then we have to figure out, is 160 out of 200, which is the full price, what percent is that? Okay, this one's easy without cross multiplying. So 200 times what is 100? Times 1/2. So 160 times 1/2 gives you what? 80. So that means it's still only 20% off, because $160 is 80% of that price, which means you only got 20% off. Okay, lesson 6 summary. Imagine that it takes Andre 3/4 more time than it takes Jada to get to school. So we know that Andre's time is 1 3/4, or 1.75 times Jada's time. We can also describe this in terms of percentages. So if Jada's time represents my 100%, Andre would represent 75% more, which is 175%. So we have our new terms here, which is percent increase, and then percent decrease. Okay, and these just describe an increase or decrease in quantity of percentages. So for example, if there were 500 grams of cereal in the original package, 20% more means that I actually have a total of 120% now. If the new packaging fit 20% less, then I would only have 80% of the initial amount.